But the one we're here
I've
to
heard
talk
good things about the show too.
Great things,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Barry, bro. Let's talk about the comedy
let's
we
get
really
into
care
it.
about. And to me, it's still a comedy. The final thing to discuss is HBO's final season of The Assassin slash character actor slash I don't even know where you want to go with this, bro. It has extended to whatever you thought season 1 was. We're in a completely different ballpark here. Every character has grown, and like they would not recognize themselves from the pilot. Mm-hmm. Where do you want to begin?
Yeah, because I mean, there's so many places we can begin. Part of me wants to begin with the cameos because the cameos were just so delightful on this episode.
May I?
Please.
If you haven't seen the cameos, I highly recommend going to search them up. In fact, you can argue, and you'd be able to see them all there. Dude, Zach told me, jump on this episode, skip whatever's in theaters. You need to watch Barry before tomorrow. And Theo appears, bro. Absolutely killed it. I've seen it. I've seen that specific scene like 10 times.
He's so funny in it. I don't know, man. Especially just that they named him Toro as well is such a funny touch to me. I mentioned I wanted to show you a thing that I found because he already did an interview with Deadline where they spoiled that Guillermo was going to be on the show. Although I hadn't heard about it until I caught it. But apparently Bill Hader is friends with Alfonso Cuarón, and that's how they were able to connect. He says here, I'm friends with him. I'm friends with Alfonso Cuarón. Alfonso was texting me. Guillermo says you don't know how to direct. They were just fucking with me while I'm shooting with him.
Bro, you know what I'll say about Bill Hader? That man knows a lot more people than we know. Because he, too, had some very special pop-ups this past week that we'll keep a secret. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. It makes me like it even more.
And that was Guillermo's cane as well. So he
really
he
was it his hat?
Added his own touch to the show. But beyond that, I also thought that like deploying Fred Armisen was particularly hilarious. Like obviously they have a relationship that goes back all the way to SNL and a lot of their work on stuff
First
like
time,
documentary
right? On the show?
now. Yeah, the only time he's appeared on the show, and in like just like what is kind of a small role, but the kind of role that Fred Armisen has the rubber faced qualities to make hilarious.
Yes. He doesn't even talk. He's just sweating profusely.
But yeah, I mean, speaking of that Fred Armisen things got kicked up a notch this week on Barry. There was a lot of just sort of dealing with new circumstances. Barry in jail, people like Cousineau and Sally, having this newfound fame that they don't necessarily want because of their relationship to Barry. But in week 3, the conflicts got escalated. We have these really funny characters in Barry and NoHo Hank actually forced to get serious and start threatening each other in what was like a really brilliantly acted moment on the phone between them.
Yeah. NoHo's needed that. He's been used too much. He needs to know where to draw a line. I like that.
I mean, we forget sometimes because the characters are so delightful to watch that, like, this is a show about bloodthirsty criminals, crime bosses, assassins. But, like, when they have to turn on
drama
the toughness.
And you had a coworker who's just not doing what they're supposed to do.
Right. Did you have any takeaways from this episode?
I'm a broken record. Who's been my favorite? She continues to kill it. She's finally doing her own acting class. And being able to invert what she thought was a positive, right, into other people, not realizing how abusive it is. It's just, it accentuates what I think has been the best part of the show, these cycles of violence that you don't realize. Obviously to the degree of making you an assassin, but also to the degree of being an actress who thinks that the methods that got her to a certain point are what she's supposed to teach others in order for them to get to that certain point, that you need to almost be as broken as the character you're trying to be. And the way they call her out in that scene was just great. All of her reactions, if it's her face on the frame, she has been killing it. I'm so disappointed she didn't win last year. She's still my pick for this year. Still supporting?
Yeah, I mean,
because they're making her lead, dude. She's carrying a lot.
I know. I maybe they'll change it up for this final season. But yeah, as for now, I guess she's supporting. By the way, we were talking last week about how they played 2 episodes from the first season, from the 4th season at once, right? You were worried that they were burning off Barry.
I don't like that.
And now they're just going week by week. I was listening to the Prestige TV podcast, and Bill Hader talks about that. First of all, he said he was actually happy that HBO made that decision, because he feels like the season really kicks into gear on that second episode. But the whole reason that the thing happened was they realized the May 31st Emmy cutoff, that if they did 1 episode a week, that would have taken them 1 week into June. So just by doing 2 episodes on that first week, the show will end before May 31st. It's all for the Emmys, dude.
Started earlier, but they didn't want to start it earlier because there was an episode that needed to have nothing in the way for Succession, huh? That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. They'd rather double it up instead. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Good inside baseball there. Good inside Barry. Good inside Barry.
Yeah. Can I drop a couple of Easter eggs on you?
Hit me.
All right, so I don't know if you put this together, but the person whose fingers go on the seat in the airplane in episode 1, that was the guy that Sally kills on the previous season. He then shows up again in the back row of her acting class this week. So she's also kind of being haunted in a way.
Wow.
Not dissimilar to the Tar Ghosts or something.
I like that. That's really good. Or Bo.
And
she's
and
seeing
then
how she doesn't see it.
Yeah, and then the variety actor who's played by Peter Fischler. So he has that moment where after he gets interrogated, he comes back and starts speaking only German. It was Patrick Fischler's idea that his character is constantly eating Skittles, and then when he comes back later only speaking German, he's eating Haribo gummy bears because Haribo is a German company.
So goofy. And I caught the Skittles too, because Skittles have been everywhere recently. The Mulholland Drive guy, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Funny.
I've seen ahead on to next week's Barry. It's the only episode that I have gone ahead with so far. You got to watch that one live too. That's another good one.
I'm assuming every single thing towards the end of Barry. How many are they going to wrap with? 8? Ooh.
Only 8. Yeah.
Wow.
We're almost halfway through.
Couldn't get 9 or else the Emmys cut him off.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Barry, it's been just as good as all the other seasons and has created a big Sunday, considering you have Succession, which we're going to be talking about right after this podcast in full spoilers. So if you have not seen that one, definitely make sure you go fit it in within the 15 minutes that we're going to go make coffee between this stream and the other stream, so you can go talk about it with us. Or, just queue it up since they'll all be on demand after the fact.